Hey, this is Russ. Thanks for watching the last video I did on my first homicide case and my first autopsy. Now, if you didn't see that video, I'll put a link up here for you and also a link below so that you can click on that and see some background behind what we're going to talk about today. And today's case is what I have commonly referred to over the years as my refrigerator man case. All right. So at my first autopsy that I did, which I did very well at, and I happened to mention to the evidence tech who was training me, it was a good thing it wasn't a stinker. Now, a stinker is a decomposed body. Now, he got really mad when I mentioned that because he said, typically, if you mention something like that, the very next case you're going to get will be a decomposed body. Now, I didn't believe him, but sure enough, that afternoon, after that autopsy from the first one I did, he got a call, and it was a decomposed body. Now, he was upset. He wanted to call me and have me come right back out and work that case with him, but he remembered that I had an exam the next day to take because I was still in school at that time, learning to be an evidence technician. And he says, no, I'm going to let him study, let him pass his exam, and then when he comes into the crime lab on Monday, I'm going to let him have it. And sure enough, when I walked in there, man, he let me have it. And he said, you know, because of you, I had to work this case, so you're coming with me to the San Diego County morgue, and we're going to work the autopsy of the refrigerator man. Hey, no big deal. I did the autopsy the day before. I can do this one. So we went out there. And now, typically, when they take a body to the morgue, he's already on the slab for us. He's already there and ready to be done for the autopsy. But in this case, this guy was murdered and then put into a refrigerator that was sealed with duct tape and then left out in the hot San Diego sun, unplugged, for weeks. The neighbors had smelled something funny and decided, well, this isn't right, we better call the police. And sure enough, there's a body inside that refrigerator. So they took the entire refrigerator to the morgue. Now, typically, they wouldn't do that. They would take the body out, do whatever. But this guy was totally decomposed. I'm talking a body that's now, a Caucasian guy that's now essentially dark brown and green and dripping with body fluids. So we needed to move the refrigerator off of the truck that brought it there and put it on the slab. We call it the slab. That's basically what the medical examiner will work on the body with. So we started moving the refrigerator, and the refrigerator is dripping body fluids. It was the grossest thing. We had gloves on, but having your hands in it, not a good thing. And believe me, I was gagging. I was gagging like crazy. And of course, the detectives and everybody are laughing at me because, here's this new guy, and we're going to see if he's going to be able to handle it or he's going to toss his cookies, right? I held it together, but man, it was close. So we got the body in the refrigerator in the morgue, and we had to dump the body out onto the slab. Unbelievable. So yeah, it was soupy. Believe me, it's not good, and it stunk. It is a smell that I can actually smell it right now. It's a smell you don't forget. And while we were there, they told me you need to change into scrubs. Now, typically, we wear our street clothes. And by the way, you might notice, too, that I'm always wearing a black shirt. And if you can see the bottom half of me, too, I'm wearing black jeans. This comes from my old law enforcement days. I recall back when I was working for San Diego PD, a lot of the guys, we don't wear, dress pants while we're working crime scenes. They're typically in jeans, and the word came down from the chief that it says, hey, if you guys are going to be out at the crime scenes, because a lot of times we are on television because, the news crews are recording, the activities. They said at least wear decent black jeans. And since that point, that's when I started wearing black jeans. Now, the black shirts come from the fact that, I had worked many years as a wedding photographer, and we typically wear black because we blend in. And so over the years, I wear black dress shirts when I was at the weddings, but when I'm not at the weddings, you'll typically see me in these black polo shirts. and I've got a lot of them. Believe me, this it's not like I never changed my shirt. Okay, I do, but I have a lot of these shirts. That's why you always see me in black shirts. It's just something that anyone who knows me knows I'm the guy that's always in the black shirts. So, okay, let's get back to the story. So what happened was he's now on the slab, and they said you need to change into scrubs because your clothing is going to smell like this guy if you don't. So I changed into scrubs, and I actually had a mask on because I wasn't going to breathe this thing in. And it's not just your typical surgical mask. I had one of these type of things. Now that this is an updated version, but go back 25, 30 years ago, it had like little canisters that went around the side. But these look a little bit nicer, but still, I figured, okay, this should take care of it, right? No, it takes care of airborne particles, but the smell and the stink still comes through. So I'm gagging in there. And interestingly, the medical examiner didn't wear anything. I was shocked. I guess they're so used to it that he didn't wear a thing. He was just as is like this and worked on the thing. And geez. Anyways, I almost quit because of this case. I almost decided to quit the program and get out of this. I didn't know if I could continue. It was so bad. So anyways, typically the medical examiner will roll fingerprints from the body, so we will take those fingerprints back to the lab so they can analyze and find out who the person is. But in this case, this guy was so decomposed, they cut his fingers off. We took the fingers back to the lab. They put it in some test tubes and we brought it back. And interestingly enough, the clothing that he was wearing, we had to take that back to the lab too. So you're thinking about this, and it's dripping with body fluid. It's awful. So we put it in some bags, and typically we would put this into paper bags, but I think in this case we may have actually put it in, I can't recall, but I think it was plastic bags this time because this thing's dripping. And we put it in the van, the crime scene van, and we brought it back to the police crime lab. And usually we would just hang this up and let it dry, but this thing smelled so bad, we brought it up to the roof of the San Diego Police Department. Now, to get up to the roof of the department, you got to take the elevator. So we brought the bags into the elevator, and we're going up from the bottom all the way up to the top floors. And there's people who want to get on the elevator. Well, when they tried to get in and they smelled what they smelled, they turned right around and got off. Of course, we're laughing, but there's not much to laugh about because we're in there with that and we're smelling it off. It was awful. So we brought it up to the roof to let it air dry. But man, that smell is just something else. Anyways, years later, when I got my first position, my full-time position at the San Diego District Attorney's Office, my supervisor was handing out assignments of what our first cases would be. And I started with another woman who was also an investigative technician for the DA's office. She started at the same time I did. And he's handing out cases, and I'm looking at the case, and I didn't know the name of the victim or anything like that. And so I'm looking at the photographs. Now, the photographs didn't mean anything to me either because I didn't really work the crime scene. I only went to the autopsy. But as I got to the autopsy photos of this case he gave me, things started looking kind of familiar. I go, wow, this looks real familiar. Why does this look familiar? And we're talking maybe a case about a year and a half later, something like that. Year and a half later, something like that. And I'm looking through this and I go, wait a minute. This is the refrigerator man case. It took it that long to get to trial. And so I said to my supervisor, I can't do this case. And he says, why? Are you squeamish? What's wrong? I said, no, I was at the autopsy. Now, technically, I worked part of that case because I was at the autopsy. So if you're working a case, you could be called as a potential witness. Most likely not, since I was just an intern. But you could have. So he says, yeah, we can't assign you this case. So he gave it to the girl. When she took one look at those photos, she goes, oh man. She said, I can't believe you're giving this to me. I go, so one of my Facebook friends is still was working with me in San Diego DA's office. He'll recognize what I'm talking about in this case. So anyways, she got the case. And I recall that we had to go to the morgue for, I don't know what it was, but we were working at, she was working at DA's case. I think it was this particular case. She says, I got to go pick up something. And so she didn't know anything about the morgue. So I said, hey, I know about the morgue. I've been there before. I've worked cases. So I went with her. And when I went to the morgue, the only place I know how to get into the morgue is through the delivery section where they deliver bodies. So we pull up, and I said, I don't know where the entrance is. She goes, well, how did you get in the building? I says, well, I know how to get in. Let's go in this way. She goes, well, what's this way? I says, well, this is where they deliver the bodies. She says, we're not going in that way. Absolutely no way, and I'm going in that way. We went around the building. We eventually found the entrance to the building. So anyways, so why did this case take so long to get to the DA's office? Well, it turns out that the victim was actually in the Navy, and he was actually murdered by his roommate, who was also in the Navy. And because of that, after he killed the guy and put him in the refrigerator and left it out in the hot sun, he went off to his next deployment. I mean, he could be 6 months before he comes back. I mean, they do long deployments on the ship. Well, after things came out and we figured out who it was, they put him in the brig, but the ship's not coming back just for him. So we had to wait before they brought him back. And of course, it takes time before this stuff gets to trial. There's a lot of things you have to prep on a case to get it to that level. So that's why it took almost 1.5 years to get back to that point. So I commonly refer this as my refrigerator man case. Oh, let me tell you how we found out who the murder suspect was. Because he taped the refrigerator with duct tape, we processed the duct tape. Actually, I shouldn't say we. I should say the evidence technician, but I watched him do it, okay? We processed the duct tape with something called gentian violet, and that's a purple dye. And by running this through this dye, we were able to develop the fingerprints on the duct tape. Now you may say, well, hey, anyone could have touched that tape. But we found the fingerprints on the sticky part of the duct tape, meaning the inside part of the duct tape. Now, if you're not the guy who taped this refrigerator together, how would you get your fingerprints on the inside part of the duct tape? Right? And I remember that this case was featured on one of the television programs that do law enforcement and forensic work. I can't recall the name of the program, but I remember seeing it on television, and I said, yeah, I was part of that case. I've worked on other cases, too, that have made it to television. I've worked on a case that was featured on America's Most Wanted. Remember that show? And I've worked on a nationally advertised case as well. Big name case. In fact, this person actually, they had 2 made-for-television movies made about that case, and the suspect at that time, of course, who was the murderer, was featured on Oprah. Maybe we'll talk about that if you're interested. If you are, put a comment below and we'll talk about it. Hey, if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can see when new videos from me come out. If you're interested in these types of things, let me know. We'll talk more about it. Talk to you guys next time.